Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.0 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 2.7%. Bitcoin 95,300 plus, 1,800 plus for Ethereum. XRP is $2.18 on the 4 spot. And we see we're off 1% on the 24, and we're off 2.3 on the 7-day. Let's look at the range of price very quickly here, ranging between 218 and 222. Let's get into this. If you haven't seen the agenda, there's a new agenda out for XRP Las Vegas. Let me tell you, it's hot and it's fresh off the press. You need to get it. You need to see the changes there. It is going to be a remarkable 2 days. Listen, make the investment in yourself. Get your ticket. Come to this event. You're not going to be sorry. You're going to be so glad that you did for so many reasons. But I just want to say this to you. The VIP tickets are dangerously close to selling out. So if you had your eye on one of those tickets, please get it. The other point I wanted to tell you about is there's a lot of crypto conferences going on in Vegas that week. Flights and rooms are going to be tough to get a hold of. So make sure you go to xrplasvegas.com and get your ticket today. And guess what? Caleb and Brown's going to be there. And I tell you something, this is not a joke. Digital asset investor and myself have come together, partner with Caleb and Brown. You can open your free account by going to xrpwealth589.com. xrpwealth589.com. And I'm telling you, this is the best night's sleep I've ever had in my life. There's a link underneath the video too. You'll find out why, because you get human customer service. I'm telling you, this is bar none the best customer service I've ever experienced in the crypto space. Get started today before the bull run comes and the exchanges freeze up. And look at this. Bybit CEO Ben says users can soon trade stocks, indexes, gold, and oil directly on the platform by the end of the quarter. Isn't this what we talked about? Crypto exchanges becoming banks, banks becoming crypto exchanges. The maturation of this space is happening very quickly now. This, to me, is a part of that flip of the switch threshold that everyone likes to use as a cliche phrase, right? It's not just one day for me. It is a moment of time. And this is showing how this asset class is being integrated not only into traditional finance, but traditional finance into this innovation as well. Super, super exciting. We've waited so long. And here's another signal right here. Look at this. Take a look at this. First, give Michael Branch a follow. The crypto community noted that apps can now process direct payments with digital currencies such as USDC, Ethereum, and Solana. Developers and users can now have the ability to bypass Apple's commission system thanks to this new freedom. Apple ordered to open crypto payments. That is big. Remember when Charles Hoskins had said, watch out, the Magnificent Seven are coming? Apple, Google, Facebook, X, all these platforms are coming, and they're going to offer crypto wallets to 3 billion people. That's what is about to happen. And I'm super, super excited. And look, here's more evidence. Apple Store to allow crypto payments outside the App Store. A U.S. judge has ordered Apple to lift the restrictions on developers using external payment methods. It's a huge win for crypto and XRP for sure. Look, this is the deal here. The Stablecoin Bill is now in the middle of flux. Now, here we go. This is the Democrats trying to flex here. They were all in support of the bill, and now they're pulling that, wait a minute. Now they want something, right? That's how this goes, right? And this is the way it goes on Capitol Hill. Let's see what's going on here. So, just looking at this, pro-crypto Democrats pull support for Stablecoin Bill in last minute. A group of 9 U.S. Senate Democrats say they will oppose the Stablecoin Bill in its current form, threatening its chances of passing. A group of U.S. Senate Democrats known for supporting crypto industry have said they would oppose the Republican-led stablecoin bill if it moves forward in its current form. The move threatens to stall legislation that could establish the first U.S. regulatory framework for stablecoins. And it says here, the 9 Senate Democrats said in a joint statement that the bill still has numerous issues that must be addressed. They warned they would not support a procedural vote to advance legislation unless changes are made. Among signatories were Senator Ruben Gallego, Mark Warner, Lisa Blunt Rochester, and Andy Kim, all of whom have previously backed the bill when it passed through Senate Banking Committee in March. See, now here's where you know it's politics, because the way they do the committees is they get the resounding support, pass it through the committee, which means there should be no issue for it going to the floor and passing the floor vote. So this is how you know it's politics, because they didn't have a problem with it when it was in the committee, and now they're acting like they have a problem with it. So with that being said, we'll see what comes of this. They don't say exactly what it is, but they do talk about, although revisions were made to the bill after its committee approval to address Democratic concerns, see, and then there was changes made for their concerns, and they're still not happy. So it's all politics you're watching unfold here. So now with that being said here, they called for stronger safeguards related to anti-money laundering, national security, foreign issuers, and accountability measures for non-compliant actors. Well, that foreign issuers bit, boy, I bet you what? I bet you old Paulo Ardoino is wondering what that's going to mean. Right now, there's a 2-year lockout for any foreign issuer. So this is going to get interesting. We'll see how it comes. But, you know, anti-money laundering issues, the stablecoin bill is supposed to fall under the Bank Secrecy Act and the banking regulatory framework. There is no AML issues in that regard. So again, this is political, what they're doing. We'll see what comes of it in the end. Nonetheless, there is a point that they can't continue to play around here. Remember when I played this clip about Ray Dalio saying there's a breakdown coming in the monetary order of things? Take a quick listen.
I think that right now, we are at a decision-making point and very close to a recession. And I'm worried about something worse than a recession.
Exactly. And that's when he goes on to talk about the breakdown of the monetary order, right? Well, you know what? It's a very real thing, which is why I'm telling you that all of this political business going on here with the stablecoin bill must get resolved, because the back is against the U.S. dollar and the monetary order is against the wall. Now, you remember the XRP calculator that was designed by Robert Mitchnick from BlackRock and none other than Susan Athey from Ripple, who's right here in this clip. And I want to play this to level set. And obviously, we know that Ripple has acquired Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. They have over 300 top global institutional players in the financial world. They have 10 billion in transactions daily, 3 trillion plus yearly, and 50 million transactions done daily, equaling 10 billion daily. So this is remarkable. But listen to what she says here about, this is from years ago, but you're going to love where we're going.
We keep hearing about tokens all the time these days. Where do tokens fit into all of this?
Well, so, I mean, the Bitcoin is the token for that ecosystem, and, you know, XRP is the token for the the ledger. I think one of the ways people are kind of like, this have this idea of a token economy, and since I'm actually really a marketplace expert, this crypto thing is a relatively new thing. But, you know, I'm on the boards of Lending Club and Expedia and Rover, which are marketplaces. So I've got a lot of people coming into my office pitching me these like marketplace economies, where the idea is that, oh, you give your medical data, then somebody's going to pay you in a token, you hold the token, now you want to get other people to join the system so your token will get more valuable, and then that will grow. Or the tokens might also replace like frequent flyer miles or other types of ideas. So there's all these ideas about sort of businesses that are built on top of blockchains with tokens that are specific to the business, and then there becomes a little economy in those tokens, and everybody wants to make it grow, and they're all invested in the success of the business. So, you know, in some level, that's how Bitcoin started. So you can't say that the idea doesn't make any sense, and it can make sense. But the hard part with all of those things is just getting them started. You know, they all face a chicken and egg problem. And unless you have a good business, you know, those tokens are just nothing.
Well, unless you have a good business, those tokens are nothing. It's a good thing those Bitcoiners got that ETF. Otherwise, what would you really have there? Just asking. It's not a maximalist point that I'm making. I just want to give you this one more time here.
And unless you have a good business, you know, those tokens are just nothing.
Okay, so unless you have a good business, those tokens are nothing. Now, Morgan Stanley, U.S. investment bank and securities trading firm, considers Ripple and XRP as a leading alternative to SWIFT. Now, do you think that's a good business model? I'm just wondering, do you think the token would be worth anything? All roads lead back to Smoke Dog. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Morgan Stanley has stated that adopting a Ripple-like payment system could shorten settlement periods, speed up transactions, and reduce the risk of fraud. Morgan Stanley considers Ripple to be a leading international payment alternative to SWIFT. That's a pretty good business model. I'm just asking for a friend. I gotta have it again one more time.
You know, they all face a chicken and egg problem. And unless you have a good business, you know, those tokens are just nothing.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, it's interesting because Morgan Stanley thinks that Ripple and XRP are a good business and alternative to SWIFT, right? That's pretty good, right? And then the president of Ripple seems to believe that where we're going here in the next frontier is also a pretty good business model, which is tokenizing stocks and bonds. Yeah.
Payments is also kind of like a base use case for other types of financial services. Like if you think about security settlement, like it triggers a payment at the end of it. So we thought we should tackle this first. But we always did have our sights set on expanding into tackling other types of financial use cases. So capital markets is kind of like a logical place to expand.
So stocks and bonds?
Bonds, exactly.
Do you think tokenizing stocks and bonds and clearing and settle them be a good business model? Happy Sunday, everybody. And if that is a good business model and you would agree also, listen to the privileged position that XRP will get in this good business model.
People are going to have different use cases and different demands and needs. And the XRP has a privileged place on the XRP ledger. Through pathfinding, always looks for XRP liquidity first. The auto bridging causes trades to automatically look at XRP liquidity where they don't automatically look at any other liquidity. So XRP is always going to have a privileged place as a bridge asset on the XRP ledger. And the stablecoin ecosystem is not going to change that. It's just going to enable more use cases.
There it is. Sounds like a pretty good business model. Now, remember Securrency, and I got to just tie this up and finish here because I believe this is where they're going to tap in with that wonderful business model that they have. And they are going to work with the DTCC to help settle one of the most enormous places where liquidity is found. It's in the settlement and clearing of equities, right? Stocks and bonds. And Securrency was bought by the DTCC. Fun fact, if you didn't know this, and I just wanted to go back and highlight this. Now, we've all heard the DTCC say that they will use Ripple, Stellar, Ethereum, and some other protocols along with legacy systems to settle the stuff. That we know that that's happening. That's not a secret anymore. Nobody needs to see a PDF or a patent. They're saying it out of their own mouth. That's not a shocker. What I want to get everybody to remind them of here is when Securrency was its own standalone company, they told all of this to us, and then the DTC purchased Securrency. But did you know, yes, it is true, Ripple acquired Standard Custody and Trust Company. Securrency was a brand under Standard Custody in February 24. The acquisition was reported by various sources, including FinTech Futures, which noted that Ripple acquired Standard Custody and Trust Company to strengthen its regulatory licenses. Regarding Reddit, there are discussions around the Ripple activity and its activities, but not specific to Reddit, posts provide that the search results directly mention the acquisition of Securrency in February 24. However, the acquisition itself is factual and aligns with Ripple's strategic moves to enhance its institutional services and other acquisitions like Hidden Road, which we know just happened a few weeks ago. And then the offer to buy Circle as well. And then it says here, you can find further discussions. Securrency was a brand and platform operated by Standard Custody and Trust Company. Standard Custody and Trust Company, obviously bought by Ripple, right? A regulated digital asset custodian, used a security brand for its blockchain-based financial services and solutions, particularly for tokenizing, managing digital assets. When Ripple acquired Standard Custody and Trust Company in February 24, it effectively acquired the security platform as a part of the deal. Any questions, anyone? Anyone? I mean, you know, like I said, they're saying it.
First banks to become a virtual asset service provider in Europe and to be able to support the MiCA rules. When MiCA went live in 2024, it was fully MiCA compliant, and it was also became fully transferable on the Ethereum blockchain. Since then, it will now be available on several other blockchains, including Solana, Ripple, and Stellar.
There we have that, right? And then we have Nadine Chakar from Securrency, right? That, you know, obviously was purchased under the umbrella of Standard Custody and Trust Company. And then they tell us this. She tells us this right here.
Distributed ledger technologies have changed the game for settlement speed and security, reducing speed and security, reducing distributed.
It's not like we need to see it because we've actually heard them say it, right? We've heard them say it. They, you know, it's out in the open now. And that's what I want people to understand. All of this is slowly creeping out in the open without a lot of people still aware of the idea that it's out in the open. And that is a beautiful thing. Meanwhile, you take a look at this chart.
Is going to be completely over the moon. And B, everyone not holding XRP is either going to be angry with themselves or begin to talk about the coin on Twitter negatively in some sort of way because they don't own it.
That's pretty much where we're at. And with all of this stuff moving out into the open, this is what it looks like when NDAs start to burn off. When you hear these people say these things out loud, it's because they are the partner and they have decided it's okay now to reveal the truth about what they've been doing under the non-disclosure agreement. That's what I see all of this moment as. This is unbelievable because XRP truly is going to have a privileged position inside of the financial system to settle the largest markets in the world. And I couldn't be more excited that we're all here before it happens. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.